Hey, LegalShield family, Russell Peden here with a special training called Team Building 101. Some of you may have heard over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of training on talking about team building and developing a builder's mindset. So what I want to do is I wanted to talk with you tonight. I want to kind of give you an overview of a series of trainings that I'm going to be doing over the coming days and weeks about team building, about developing a builder's mindset and what's involved with that. So just stand by. Let me start my PowerPoint here and jump right into it. So what I want to talk to you about today is team building, but more importantly, I'm going to talk to you about developing a builder's mindset. And why do you want to be a builder? Well, let me share with you, if you want to build something that's going to last, this concept of built to last, there's a book out called Built to Last, meaning that if you're going to spend your time, energy, and effort building something, you want it to last for years. Carol and I, for example, have built a LegalShield business we started 24 years ago, and that business that we built today with LegalShield today will continue to grow and continue to go with or without us, because we built a team and built a business that's built to last. Just like the tree that you see there on your screen, you know, trees that are built to last, meaning that they've got the proper foundation and they've got the proper root structure, are built to last. Some trees last decades, some of them last hundreds of years, and it's because they've got a solid foundation. They've got a very intricate root system, or in our case, the same thing that we're trying to build here at LegalShield, a massive team of associates, a strong foundation. Notice there in the picture that every tree has what they call the tap root. That's that main root that it's pretty huge in size, and what it does, it branches out to even more tap roots, and that single root, as you can see, it's pretty large, and it has all the other tap roots and it provides that tree, I don't know the exact number, but probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% or more of the tree's nourishment that allows that tree to thrive. Now, it has other roots out there that, especially the ones that go out to the side, that help it maintain its structure so it can stand up straight and not fall over when winds hit it. But it's that taproot that provides all of the nourishment. And if we equate that to our business, it's that taproot that's going to provide the majority of the production and activity that comes out of your business. So in your business, we want to show you how to build an organization just as strong as this tree, one that's going to provide you with a taproot organization. In our case, we have one organization on our team that provides better than 50% of the production. We call that our taproot leg, or what I like to call our super leg. And every team that I've ever met, anyone that I know, every successful leader I've ever had, has always had that one team that is their super leg or their taproot organization. It's that team that's gone down and has produced many, many leaders and many other ring earners and top producers. And it's that one organization that provides the majority of the production, recruiting, and nourishment, so to speak, meaning cash flow, than all the legs out there. So we're going to talk about how to build that solid foundation, how to develop and grow that super leg or that taproot, but more importantly, how to lay a solid foundation so you can have many taproots if you want to. So we're going to get into what it takes to build and develop a builder's mindset. But let me talk to you about why you want to build a builder's mindset right now, because there's so many reasons to do it, and I can't think of a better reason than to show you the numbers. You know, this idea in our business is that I had my friend Frank Coyne. He's one of our Millionaire Club members in LegalShield, $300,000 a year income earner, super smart businessman. He and his wife owned a large print sign franchise for many, many years. Very successful business. He always says you want to have multiple assets producing income from you. And the only problem with if you just try to market memberships by yourself, if you only try to earn an income from yourself, let's say you work a job, and the problem with working a job, or in our business, just focusing on selling memberships by yourself and not building a team, is you only have one income producing asset, and that asset is you. And as Frank says, and when your asset's not working, you're not making any money. So what we want to show you is how to develop a financial army of associates that are going to be out there helping you market memberships and building your LegalShield business, so that you can build a business that's built to last and build that walk-away income that so many of us enjoy today here at LegalShield. So look at the screen there. This shows you that, let's say each one of those lines represent a year in the business. Your first year, you're the one producing all the income. The second year, you're the one producing all the income. Third year, fourth year, fifth year, you're the one producing all the income. The only problem with that is that you're limited when it's just you, you're limited to the amount of income you can make. You're limited to the size of the business that you can build because you're limited by time, and it's only one of you, right? Because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only 64 hours in a week or whatever it is. And even if you were able to magically figure out a way to take advantage of 20 hours a day to work your business, and only sleep and rest 4 and eat and spend time with your family with the other 4, which would be basically impossible, 20 hours a day, you'd still be limited by the time of the day. But how could you leverage hundreds or maybe even thousands of hours in a day or a week or a month? You can only do that through the power of leveraging other people's efforts. Let me show you a quick example. If you just decided to leverage yourself through 2 other people, which means, let's say you decided to become a builder and you decided to recruit 2 associates your first year, and you taught them to do the same thing. At the end of your second year, you'd have 4 people on your team. So now instead of having 1 income producing asset, you'd have 5, yourself plus the 4 that your associates brought on board. The second year, if you taught those folks to do the same thing you did, just recruit 2 people each, at the end of your third year, you'd have 8. At the end of your fourth year, you'd have 16. And at the end of your fifth year, you'd have 32 people, plus yourself, 33 people out there marketing. Actually, it's more than that. If you take a 32 plus a 16 plus an 8 plus a 4, what is that? That's 48 plus 8. That's 56 plus 4. That's 60 plus 2. That's 62, including yourself. 63 people that you'd have out there, 63 assets potentially producing income for you and your LegalShield business, as opposed to just one person, yourself, doing it yourself. Now that's just the power of 2. Now what if you decided to step it up and do 3 instead of just recruiting 3? Instead of recruiting 2, you decided to recruit 3 associates and teach them to do the same thing. At the end of your first year, you'd have 9. 3. At the end of your second year, you'd have 9. At the end of your third year, you'd have 27. Fourth year, 81. Fifth year, you'd have 243 associates recruited that 5th year. Now, if you add everyone together, 243 plus 81 plus 27 plus 9, I don't know what that totals to be, but it's a whole lot more than 32, right? And so what's the difference between 32 and 243? You have to do the math, but let me show you. The math is pretty simple. The difference is 1. You just decided to recruit 1 more associate and taught everyone else to do the same thing. That's called the magic of compound recruiting. It's kind of like the magic of compound interest, but in our business, we call it compound recruiting. One of my mentors in this industry, his name is Hubert Humphrey. He wrote a book called The Magic of Compound Recruiting, and this is what it's all about. Look what happens if you just recruit 2 more for a total of 5 associates, and then you taught them to do the same thing. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. After year 5, you'd have 3,125 people recruited your 5th year in the business. If you added the 3125 to the 625 to the 125 to the 25 to the 30, you'd have nearly 4,000 people on your team your 5th year, 4,000 potential income-producing assets out there marketing memberships and recruiting others into your business. And again, the difference between 243 and 3125 is 2. You just decided to recruit 2 more associates and teach your team to do the same thing. Again, that's the magic of compound recruiting. So now let's talk about what it means to be a builder. I'm going to talk to you about some building philosophies. These aren't necessarily techniques or how-tos. These are more mindsets, things that a way of thinking. And if you've changed how you think, then that'll change a way of believing. And if you change what you believe, that'll change what you think about, which should change what you do, according to Jim Rohn. Let's talk about the first building philosophy. The first building philosophy is this: a recruit isn't a recruit, or an associate isn't an associate until they have an associate. Or as Hubert Humphrey says, a recruit ain't a recruit until he's got a recruit. So that's not a strategy, that's just a philosophy, meaning that what if you had in your mind that a new associate is not really considered a new associate until they have a new associate, or a recruit isn't a recruit until they have a recruit? In my opinion, my philosophy is if a new recruit that doesn't have a new recruit is just a member who paid $99 too much under our current compensation plan. So a recruit isn't a recruit until they have a new recruit. That's the first building philosophy. Imagine if you had that philosophy kind of go down throughout your organization. Every person that you recruited, you taught them that a new recruit isn't a new recruit until they get a new recruit. And they taught their people that a new recruit is not a new recruit until they get a new recruit, or a new associate isn't really an associate until they have an associate. Again, that's not true, because everyone who pays your $99 is an associate. But in terms of a mindset, a new recruit ain't a recruit until they've got a recruit, which means they're not really done anything until they've recruited someone. And of course, we want them to recruit lots of people. In fact, we want them to recruit in bunches, because builders recruit in bunches. Because builders understand that it's easier to build fast than it is to build slow. Because if you recruit a bunch of people at a time, 4 or 5 people within a month or within 5 or 6 weeks, you're going to get a lot more activity, a lot more energy and excitement, and a lot more production out of those 5 people, as opposed to if you recruited one person a month for 5 months. There's something about recruiting a bunch of people together who get to know each other and see each other at the briefings and the trainings, and can feed off each other and use each other for testimonials and 3-way calls, as opposed to recruiting one person this month, another person the next month, another person the next month, another person the next month, one person a month for 5 months. You still have 5 recruits, but the difference between recruiting them within a month as opposed to recruiting them in 5 months is the energy and the enthusiasm and excitement and the momentum that can come out of recruiting them in bunches. Now, I consider a bunch anything more than 2. Again, if you had 1 grape in your hand, you'd have 1 grape. If you had 2 grapes in your hand, you'd have 2. But if you had 3 or more grapes in your hand, you probably have a bunch of grapes. So I consider anything a bunch, anything that's more than 2 a bunch. So recruit 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 10 associates in a short amount of time. We're talking about maybe a month or 5 or 6 weeks, but a short amount of time. Instead of 1 associate a month, recruit in bunches. Okay, the next building philosophy I want you to understand is that there are always going to be links and leaders. A link is someone that will lead you to a leader. A leader is someone that you can, in essence, hand the ball off to. Someone who understands what it means to be a builder, who understands that a recruit ain't a recruit until they got a recruit. Someone who's showing up, someone who's doing all the things that you ask them to do. We call that person a leader. Someone who's going to take the ball, so to speak, and run with it. It means they're going to continue to do what we've taught them to do and what you're teaching them to do. We call that a leader. Now, everyone is going to encounter links and leaders in their business. I mean, on the list that you created when you got started, there are links on that list, and there are leaders on that list. A link, again, is someone who's going to lead you to a leader. That doesn't mean they're going to directly lead you to a leader. It could be a link who leads you to another link who leads you to a leader. And it'll be easy to find those leaders through those links if you're driving the philosophy that a recruit ain't a recruit until they got a recruit, right? So if we just keep driving that, we're eventually going to find that leader. Let me give you an example. The largest organization that I have in my team I recruited a friend of mine named Carl. He was a link. He recruited. He's not necessarily a leader. He is a leader in my eyes, but in our business, you wouldn't consider him a leader because he was just a link to another young lady named Diane who turned out to be a leader in our business. But initially, she was just a link. But she linked me to a leader. And that person that she linked me to, he went on to build one of the largest businesses in LegalShield history. And so he was the leader. So I was the person who sponsored Carl, my friend. He was a link. He led me to another link. Her name was Diane. And Diane led me to the leader. So that's link, link, leader. Now, Diane eventually became a leader because the organization that she was a part of, as she worked in that organization, develop it, and it helped her become more of a leader. Today, she's a leader, and then she's now also a millionaire clubman, one of our top income earners in LegalShield, building one of the most amazing organizations in LegalShield history. Her name is Diane Klein. So Carl, link, Diane, link, which led to the leader, which now is our taproot, our super leg, which produces well over 50% of the production in our entire organization. So you don't have to go out looking for the stud or for the leader. You know, a lot of associates are looking for that one associate, that Russell Peden, that Dave Savula, that Brian Carruthers, that top leader. But the way you find those big leaders, those Diane Kleins, those Brian Carruthers, those big leaders in our business, you find them by going through links, leaders, or link leader or leader. Sometimes the person you recruit will become the leader. One of my executive directors, one of my very best friends in the world, his name is Tony Martinez. I personally recruited him. He ended up becoming a leader right away. So sometimes the people that you recruit will be the leader. Many times the people that you recruit will just be links that will lead you to leaders. So that's the concept of links and leaders. All right, the next building philosophy I want you to understand is called a team is not a team until it's four deep, which means that if you're driving the philosophy that a recruit ain't a recruit till they've got a recruit, then that's going to force you to go down and work with that new recruit that your associate brought on board that is excited. So if you help your new recruit, let's say you recruit 5 associates, right? And one of those 5, by helping them get started, that you help them recruit 5. So, and out of one of their 5, one of their guys grabs a hold of the concept and starts believing, hey, a recruit ain't a recruit till I got a recruit. So he goes, he gets 5. So you got to work with that guy, and then you got to work with his person, and you got to work with every one of those associates until you find the ones that will follow the system. So again, you recruit an associate who recruits an associate who recruits an associate who recruits an associate. We call that 4 deep, which means the person you recruited as an associate, and they have an associate, and they have an associate, and that organization is now 4 levels deep. Now, we're not talking about placing someone under someone, which you can do in LegalShield. We're talking about organically recruiting someone who recruits someone that they know, who recruits someone that they know or meet, who recruits someone that's 4 deep. We call that 4 deep. A leg isn't 4 deep. It isn't a leg until it's 4 deep. That's the whole idea of this philosophy. So here's the beauty of it. Once you build a leg 4 deep, that leg is stable, which means one of those 4 people, one of those 4 individuals in that leg is going to be that leader that you're looking for, because the person you recruit may be a link, or they could be the leader. The person they recruit could be the link or the leader. We won't know that until we get it 4 deep. And once you get it 4 deep, we're going to have a good idea of which one of those 4 legs that we drove 4 deep is going to be the leader that we can hand the ball to, which means that person will continue to drive the philosophies and the production and everything that organization, which allow you to go recruit more associates and develop another leg 4 deep. That's the whole idea behind a team is not a team until it's 4 deep. So you can't really call that team a team until you've driven at least 4 levels deep. That's the whole idea of that philosophy. So let's talk about, again, why you want to have a builder's mindset. Because once you develop a builder's mindset, everything changes. Remember I told you, once you start thinking like a builder, then you'll start, once you start believing like a builder, believing in and understanding and internalizing what it means to be a builder, then you can then start laying out a plan on how you can develop an army of associates. So imagine what it would be like to have an army, a volunteer army of dedicated, builder-minded associates ready to change the world and change people's lives. Well, that has to be something that you believe is possible. And once you believe it, then you'll start thinking about it. And once you start thinking about it, then you'll start talking about it to your team. You'll start talking about recruiting and building with every phone call that you make to your team, everywhere you go, every time you do a training, anyone you talk to, you'll start talking about building an organization, building a team, an army of associates. And the cool part about that, once you start doing it, once you start talking about it, then you just go out there and you do it. I had a mentor say you have to first build it in your mind, and then you have to build it on paper, which means you have to draw out and write down what your goals are and what you'd like to see happen. And then once you build it in your mind, you build it on paper, then you just go out there and you build it. And that's what it's all about. So just go out there and follow our philosophies, follow our tips and training, and lead your team. Remember, people would much rather follow a leader than listen to one anytime. So let me ask you a question. What is your team going to look like in your mind, and then what is it going to look like on paper? What's your personal recruiting goal? How many associates are you going to recruit this month? How many associates is your team going to recruit this month? Once you start putting that down on paper, then you can start going out there and doing the activity to make it a reality. And here's the cool thing about building a builder's mindset. Once you develop a builder's mindset, you start developing a culture of recruiting and building. And remember, whatever you focus on and recognize expands. So the more you start talking about recruiting and building, the more your leaders will start, your people start talking about recruiting and building, and then you'll start to see this organization really grow. But you've got to inspect what you expect, right? You should know exactly how many associates you and your team have, how many memberships are being sold, how many associates are being recruited, right? So you've got to have that number in your handy. You got to know it all the time. You got to know where you're going. Are you getting better? Are you guys growing? Or are you dying? In our business, you're either growing or you're dying. Staying the same is not growing. So we've constantly got to strive to beat our best every month. in production and recruiting. If you sold 2 memberships last month, then your goal should be to sell at least 3 this month. You got to beat your best, even if it means just beating by once. If you recruited 3 associates last month, why not go for 4 this month? If you recruited 4 this month, why not go for 5 or 6 or 7? Beat your best should always be your motto or your charge. So now I want to talk to you about give you an example of how a builder's organization can grow to huge numbers. I already showed you earlier how the numbers grow, but let me show you how we do it and why you do it. And it's called the power of the 2 a day. Our number 1 income earner in LegalShield, his name is Dave Savula. He passed away about a year ago. He built the largest organization in LegalShield history, and he built it on one philosophy, and that's talk to 2 people a day and attend your weekly meeting. He said that from the day I met him 24 years ago, that's always been his philosophy on how to build $1 million business, how to build a financial army, is to talk to 2 people a day and attend your weekly meeting. Our number 2 income earner today is a gentleman by the name of Brian Carruthers. Built a business that's paid him in excess of $17 million last I heard, probably more like $20 million today. And he built his entire business on the philosophy of getting 2 third-party tools into the marketplace. He built his team on DVDs, get his team to get out 2 DVDs a day. Everyone on his team getting 2 DVDs a day out to in their prospects' hands. That has built him a business that's paid him probably somewhere north of $20 million over the last 19 or 20 years. So it's the same concept of 2 a day. So let's talk about the 2 a day. What if you could put together a team of you and let's say 9 other people? Let's say you, a team of 10, and you guys all committed to talk to 2 people a day. In essence, get out what we call 2 exposures a day, which means an exposure. My definition of an exposure, or the definition we're going to use as a team, is you've got someone to agree to take a look at some information about our company, our service, and our business opportunity. We call that an exposure. You've asked someone to take a look at some information, they've agreed to review the information, and you've set up a time to follow with them to find out what they liked about it. That's what we call an exposure. And I want you to do 2 of those a day. Look what can happen if you and 9 other people got together and committed to do 2 every day, 5 days a week. Well, if you did 2 a day, that means you and your 9 associates would expose 20 people a day. That 5 days a week, not even 7 days a week, just 5 days a week. That's 100 people a week, new people that you guys are exposing to LegalShield. 100 people who didn't know about LegalShield found out about it because you and 9 other people decided to get 2 people to get out 2 exposures a day. If we times that times the average of 4.3 weeks a month, that means that you guys will get 430 exposures a month out, or 5,160 exposures, over 5,000 exposures a year. Over 5,000 people would have heard about LegalShield because you guys shared 2 third-party tools. You talked to 2 people a day, 2 a day. 5,160 people would have heard about LegalShield. Now let's talk about what does that look like in terms of result. What should we expect from 5,000 exposures? Well, I always say you should expect about a 20% response. About 20% of the people that you talk to will be interested. But let's just say that you are horrible. You only got a 10% response. Here's what that will look like. 5,160 exposures. If 90% of them say no, that means you'll only end up with 516 associates. Now, if we divide that by the 10 of you that committed doing the 2 a day, that means each person would end up with 51, maybe 52 associates each. If you divide that by 12, that's 3 or 4, maybe 5 associates a month. Well, 3 or 4 associates each for each one of you that do that. I know that I apologize for the math on the screen there. My math says 20 associates, but I got confused with the 20 a day. But we're talking about 510 new associates will be recruited from those 5,000 exposures. Divided by the 10 people who committed to the 2 a day, that would leave each person with just double the numbers there. Instead of 25 or 26, that'd be 50 or 51 new recruits divided by 12. What is that? About 3 or 4 associates a month for each one of the 10 people who committed to doing 2 a day. I'm sure if each one of you watching this video wouldn't mind recruiting 3 or 4 new associates a month. If you recruited 3 or 4 new associates a month, that will qualify you for every promotion that LegalShield has. You would qualify for every bonus, every trip, every promotion that we have, 4 associates a month would be, not only would you qualify for every trip and every bonus, but you'd build a monster business just driving that same philosophy throughout your organization. But you know what? What if we weren't that good? What if we weren't that good? I know that's bad. 10%, 1 out of 10, that's horrible. What if we only got 1 out of 20? What if 95% of the people said no? If 95% of the people said no, that means we'd only end up with 258 new associates for the year if we did 2 a day. Divide that by the 10 associates who committed to doing 2 a day. That means each one of those 10 people would end up with about 25 or 26 recruits for the year. Divide that by 12, that's going to average out to be about 2 associates a month, 1 associate every other week or something like that. That, again, that'll basically qualify you for our Performance Club program and pretty much guarantee you a check every month in terms of a bonus check after 12 months. But everything that you need, 2 associates a month. In fact, I've built my entire business recruiting about 2 people a month over the last 24 years. And we built an organization that today has sold almost 500,000 memberships and recruited just under 100,000 associates over the last 24 years. And it's just a simple concept of simple activity, getting a lot of people to do a few simple things over a consistent period. And what we're talking about there is 2 a day, every day, 5 days a week. A lot of people doing a little bit, a few people doing a lot is how you build a large organization. So here's the question. Can you do 2 a day? Of course you can. Of course you can. You say, well, where am I going to get the 2 people? Where am I going to? That's a lot of people. Well, actually, it's not that many people. 5,000 people sounds like a lot, but it's just 2 a day. 2 a day, 5 days a week for one person. That's about 10 exposures a week, about about 500 exposures a year. Now, if you had to find 500 people to talk to, you have them already right there on your list. And you meet people every day. So getting 2, if you had to get 2, if your family depended on it, you could do it. Let's talk about your family, because how you get the 2 a day and what do you say and what tool do you use to expose them with, I'm going to teach you all that in the series of videos that are coming up after this one, starting with the next one. But why are you going to do it is the most important thing. If you don't know why you're doing it, then it doesn't matter how. I can teach you how to do it in about 5 minutes on a video that you're going to see coming up after this one. But if you're not very clear on why you're doing it, then the how won't matter. What I teach you on what to say and what tool to use and how to get people to take a look at the information, how to overcome their objections, all that how stuff that you want to learn, it won't matter if you don't know why you're doing it, because there are going to be days where you don't feel like doing your 2. There are going to be days where you don't feel like following up with someone that you talked to yesterday. There are going to be days when people tell you no and you're not going to feel very good about it. So what are you going to do on those days? What are you going to do when you don't feel like going to the briefing? What are you going to do when you don't feel like getting on our team call? What are you going to do then? You're going to remember why you did the business. You're going to look, I'm looking right now at my wall of why. It's got all of my goals, all the pictures of my family, pictures of the Tesla and motorhomes and all these things that I want as goals of my business. So what's going to be your why? As you can see here on the screen, this is my number 1 why. It's my family. I want to provide a better lifestyle for my wife and my 4 kids. I want them to be able to have the things that I was unable to have when I was growing up. I want them to experience things I only dreamed about experiencing. And because of LegalShield today, that is a reality. So I constantly am reminded every day of what my why is, and my why is my family. I have lots of other goals I'm shooting for, but my number 1 reason why I'm doing this business is to provide for my family. So I don't know what your why is, but only you do it. If you get clear on your why, then the how will be easy. In fact, this business is about 80% why and about 20% how. And I'm going to teach you the 20%. I'm going to break the 20% down into a series of videos, about 8 or 9 videos over the coming days and weeks that are going to teach you all the hows. But you need to get super clear on your why first. In fact, the first video that we're going to talk about is going to be the why. What your why is, how to get super clear on it so you know what it is, how to define it, and how to keep it in front of you on a daily basis to drive you to do the activities that are necessary to make it happen. So, again, thanks for listening to this training, and look forward to our next video coming out this week. It's going to be focused on the why, and then we're going to get into specific videos, 6 or 7 steps on how to build a financial army, how to build a builder's organization, one that'll be built to last, just like a tall oak tree that'll last decades, perhaps even hundreds of years, and produce fruit for you and your family forever. So this is Russell Peden. Finish out the training. Thank you for listening, and be sure to pass this. If you enjoyed this training, be sure to pass this video on to someone on your team so they can get the information as well. So look forward to talking to you on the next video. Bye-bye.